Hello guys and welcome back. Okay, in this video we are gonna do the other rotation method, which is gonna be very similar to the way that you would approach a kinematic rotation setup, really. In fact, the way we're gonna set this up is gonna be a kinematic rotation in some way. But we're going to use this for the physical rotator also. So once we've done this, we could technically move this to, for example, the BP mover layer and support the function for getting a rotation, a non-physical rotation on the base object itself. But I'm not going to do that for now. I'm going to do the implementation on the physical rotator just to keep things in the same place to begin with. So we are going to start off by creating a enum to control this, which I'm going to call Rotator method. Enum. And we're going to create two here. So we have one which is kind of a twister thing. Twister handle, let's call it that. And then we are going to have one we're going to call a rotator handle. You can always come up with better names, I'm sure. This is just what I decided to use here. Okay, so inside the physical rotator we have the pick up and the drop events. And we need a, why is this out here, by the way? This needs to go into internal, and we should say this is the start transform used to get rotated transform angle, whatever. Just need to get that out of the way, sorry. So we need a variable in here which we are gonna call rotation method, which is gonna be a rotator method, this one. And if we compile that, we can see it's set default to twister handle. So let's put that in the settings and make it public accessible. So we need to add in a switch here. Rotator. I have one already. How do we? Okay, rotation method. Rotation method. I like this one. Let's call it rotation method. How we want to rotate our mover. Okay. So we're going to drag this out and say switch. So now we can decide either to use the physics handle, which is the twister handle approach, or we can use the rotator handle, which is going to be a different one, very similar to how the VR Essential kit does it. So if you want to look a little bit more into the method that is used in that example project, then you should download that and see how it does it. But I'm going to do it a little bit different, so you will have two versions here once you're done with this, and you can see if you can use a little bit of both, really. So we're just going to wait with the implementation here. First of all, we want to set this up so things are still working for the existing stuff that we have. So I'm going to move this a little bit to the side, and then we're going to copy this here, because we still want the drop to happen, the parent drop to happen as the last thing. So we're going to move up. Sorry, I'm going to move it over here, somewhere here, and insert a sequence. Okay. So with that in place, we are ready to start to set up the rotator handle. First of all, though, we want to make sure that things still work after we did these changes, because it's going to be kind of crucial that things still work. And by the way, I think I mentioned that in the last video, don't worry about the round -1 and angle 360. Don't worry about it. It's the value that you need that is going to be the one that you want to read. The angle and the round are going to be unreliable at any time. You want to use the value, at least in this project here. Anyway, so that seems to work still. So if we set the rotation method to rotator handle, we're going to do things a little bit different. So first of all, the way, I think maybe I should make a little drawing here. So let me fire up paint here. So if we imagine we have the center of our object here, and then we have, if we just draw it kind of like we have it right now, then we have a box. Okay, no, I can't rotate, but this is the handle that we're going to move around in space. So it's going to move around in this is more or less the way it's going to move. It's going to move around like this. So we're going to have a grab sphere somewhere, which is going to be this one. This is the grab sphere. So we're going to grab somewhere here. It's never going to be completely on top of it, but we're going to grab somewhere near this this box here, this handle that we are allowed to interact with. So let's say it was somewhere here. The center of this is going to be, it's going to be this point here, this little point here. And this is actually forming a vector between the center of the object and that grab point. So what we're going to do here is to track that point in space relative to this point here. So once you start to move your controller around in space, so let's say you move it, you move it all the way up here, it's going to form a new vector going from here to here. And what we then are interested in gathering is, fuck me there. It's going to be the angle between these two, the two red lines here. So it's going to be this angle here. Mad art skills, I know. Okay, but that's the angle that we're interested in gathering. So instead of tracking the position, the angle between a beginning point, as we did with the physics handle, where we had something like an imaginary starting point and we were tracking in this angle here, then then we're going to track the angle between the the grab point and where we are now. So there's the difference between the two versions here. The second difference is that the method of moving the handle, or the static mesh component in this case, is not going to be a physics handle. It's going to be something that we set manually. So it's going to be very similar to how you do a kinematic rotation, really. I said that already. So anyway, so what we really need to do here is, when we grab the box here, we're going to save a rotation. So we're going to grab the actor transform. And the thing is, why I'm getting the actor transform is that because we want to track the angle in local space, we need to convert things into local space anyway. So I'm going to do that here, so we don't have to do it in the event tick. There's no reason for that. So we're going to do inverse transform location, and I probably just going to move it out here just for a moment. We're going to collapse this to a function anyway in a moment. So we are going to grab the position of the grab sphere. So grab sphere here, grab sphere here, get the world location, and this is going to give us the variable, call this grab local grab location. I'm going to move this into the internal section here. So connect that stuff up here and collapse this stuff here already to a function. Call this grab rotator handle, like this. Okay, so this is the first part. The second part is that we are also gonna have to figure out, because contrary to the way I said I grab the angle, I was grabbing it from the beginning transform here. What I'm going to do now is instead to grab the angle between, technically we could actually maybe do that, but I haven't tried that. But I guess we could grab the rotation between this and this position instead. So instead of using the grab location, we could just use this. It might work. I might return to a different implementation. I'm just realizing maybe I can do that instead. But I'm going to do it this way because this is similar to the way the, is it? Okay, I don't have it open, or do I? Yeah, this is similar to the way the VR Essential Kit does it. So if I do it this way, it's going to be somewhat easy to compare and follow along, because it's going to be similar the way I do it. Okay, so we want to move this to the side here, and then we want to save a grab transform, world grab transform. So this is again going to be the, or it's actually not going to be the grab transform, because as said, this point here is different from this point up here. So this is going to be our grab transform in world space, because that's what we're going to need in a moment. So we want to create or get a world transform, get transform for this, where it is right now, and then save that into a variable which we are going to call world grab transform. Okay, somewhat like this. So these two components here we need to save at the beginning. Notice that we're not grabbing any physics handle or anything currently, so really that's all we need to do now. When we release it, well, for now we don't need to do anything, but we're going to add some stuff here later on, so just stick with me for a moment. And then, as I said in the beginning, this is not going to be only now a twister mover value that we get. So I'm actually going to start off by expanding this node again, so we have everything in here, because it's just going to be very similar. So we can just might as well just plug it in here. So let's grab all that. We should actually convert this into a function or something, because it's kind of we should totally do that. Yes. So let's mark up all this stuff here, which is going to give us the angle. This is a get angle from mesh. Right, so we're going to collapse this to a function. And we're going to make this pure, so it just turns out that way. And that's just going to simplify things quite a bit. Okay, so the way we're going to derive the rotator handle rotation, so instead of using this one, I'm just going to leave this in here for a moment because we're still going to need that, is to get the grab transform. Where did I put that? The grab transform. Well, grab transform here, which I'm also going to put in the internal section here. No, actually, let's do it another way first. Let's grab first. Let's get the angle between the grab sphere now and where we started grabbing it, and we can do that. We actually did that already. If we just find it in the function that we just made, this guy here. This stuff here from the grab rotator handle. Let's just copy it in here. And this is the relative location of where we are right now. So from this we can make rotator from X, and this needs to be normalized, it says, so we need to plug in normalize here like this, and we have the grab location. That was this one here, so we just need to get the same from that one, and then we can normalize that one and get the rotation from X as well, and then we can do a delta on these two here. Okay, so this is going to be the local delta rotation, where we're only going to be interested in the yaw, really. So what we need to do now is to get this back into a world angle based angle, because yeah, it's local right now. And the way to do that is the point where we need to use our world grab transform, this one here, which we're going to compose with another transform, which is going to be the axis get the axis transform, invert that. This is going to give us it in local space, and then compose that. I don't really know how to explain best the logic behind this. This was actually one that was causing quite a bit of trouble. So yeah, I'm not really sure how to do that. I guess the best way you can look at it is that we're getting the grab transform where it is right now, and then we are getting the relative transform of the actor to that, and that will give us the, yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, at least I I don't know. It works. Shit, man. Terrible. I'm sorry. Right. Anyway, this is going to give us an angle. This is going to give us the angle that we need, and I just need to copy this stuff here with the make it a 360 based angle, and use my fround function here. So I'm just going to copy that and plug that at the end here. All right. So what we're going to do now is to take this angle here that we're setting, and we're going to collapse this to a function. We're going to move this anyway at some point, I think. But let's not do it now, because then we also need to move the variables. I might as well have done this all the way from the beginning, but never mind. It's easy to move. Collapse to a function, and let's call this get angle from motion control. It's not necessarily the motion control, but who cares? Okay, and we didn't return anything. We're going to return this one. Add a return, plug that in here, call it angle, and connect that one up. Doot. Whatever. Okay, so outside here again. Right, so we get one looking like this. That means that we are now able to calculate using our transform from angle, plug that at the end here, and then set the transform for our static mesh component. So we're going to do that before, and actually we don't always want to do that. We just need to be a little bit careful here now. We have the rotation method. We're going to grab that in here and say switch also. So if it is a twister handle, then we just want to do the regular stuff. If it's the rotator handle, then we need to make sure that we do have a rotator handle, because technically you could have grabbed it and tried to like spin it or something. And that means that it's still going to run this code here, but it's not going to have a valid motion control, which we use in here, or the grab sphere. So we need to check, make sure that this is valid before we do anything. I think the best way to do this is to say it's valid here. And say, is the grab sphere valid? If it is, I mean, if it's not, then we just want to grab it from the mesh, which is still going to rotate. But if it is valid, then we want to set this stuff here. Like this. Never mind, that's fine. Okay, so I guess we should be set now. Right. Let's give it a test. Yeah, well, things are working. You can see if I twist my hand now, it's not rotating. Well, only according to the position. You can see when I move my hand back and forth like that, it's still going to rotate. One thing, if you're doing this stuff, I was doing this a lot. I was making sure that I had a weird rotation of my thing, so I was 100% absolute sure that it was still moving in the correct. Like we have an issue here, you can see, by the way. That's another thing which we need to take care of. But I'm going to get to that. That is actually the reason why I wanted to change it. But you can see if I try to throw it like this, it's not going to work. One way we could technically get around this is to use or switch it to a non-physics object while we grab it. So I'm just going to show how it's done, how that would work. But this is actually not what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something a little bit more interesting, I would say. I'm not really sure this is the best solution at all. Oops. But so we're going to turn off simulation when we grab it, and then we're going to set it back once we release it. And that means that we can now again grab it and throw it. But now you can see it's not reacting to it's just going to pass through. And that's obviously because it's not simulating physics now, and then setting a constraint on the physics constraints is obviously not going to do anything. So you can see we are really close to a kinematic solution with this, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just this is not what I wanted to do. So instead of doing this stuff here, I'm just going to get rid of that. What I'm going to do is to keep this as a simulating physics simulating object for this implementation here. But in order to move it, so instead of setting the static mesh component like this, what I'm going to do is to cheat, and I'm going to add in a fake physics handle here, which I'm then going to move instead. Okay, so it's not going to be the static mesh component that we move, it's going to be the physics handle that we move, which is not okay, so it's called set target location and rotation instead, apparently. So we just want to get rid of that stuff here and connect that one up and connect that one up again. And split this one up and connect in the location and the rotation. So that is what we're going to do instead, but this is only moving the physics handle as it is. So instead of only doing, not instead, but by doing this, we're also going to do something very similar to this. So I'm just going to copy that. Where did it go? Physical event graph. Hello? Where did everybody go? Oh, the physical mode, sorry. Rotator handle in here. So inside the grab rotator handle, the one that we are making here now, we are not going to grab this pH. We are going to grab this physics handle. We should call it rotator pH, just to be a little bit more clear what it is. So it's the rotator, the one when you use the rotator manipulation mode. We're going to use this to grab this static mesh component by the position of the grab sphere, which we're going to move. And then we're going to move the grab rotator physics handle on tick. Rotator. Why is this not? Huh? Strange. Okay, never mind. And then we also want to drop the physics handle, and that is just this release component, which we just so it looks a little bit more neat. We're gonna do like this. So drag that in, connect that up, get rid of that one, and call it drop rotator handle like this. I believe that is what we needed to change in order to get the rest of this stuff working. So now it's moving again, and you can see if I try to get it past the limit, it's not gonna do it. And you'll notice maybe, you can see I can't twist it now, but I have to move my hand around. That's pretty cool. Because the cool thing about this is that this is going to behave more like a door when you try and open it than the rotator handle, where the twister handle is more going to be behaving like a dial or something, or a screw you want to pull out or something. So it's very nice to have both these methods of rotating things. Yeah, that was actually what I wanted to show. I think I will end this video by just selecting everything in here again and collapse it again and say get rotator value. I think it's, whoops, no, I didn't type anything. Rotate something like that. So now it doesn't look so scary anymore. Okay, that was basically what I had for this video. I'm not gonna go into more details, and honestly, maybe I still haven't decided yet at this point here, because I only planned up until this point here. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to go from here on. I thought about doing the non-physical versions, the BP kinematic mover versions, and then doing the mover, the slider and the rotator for both of them, which at this point should be fairly easy. But I don't really see the need for them, and I wanted to start work on making the button, make a good button mechanic, and also, you know, things like well, I don't have anything, but things where you can stick a key in, or a bottle where you can take off the lid, or you know, start to combine some of these mechanics. You know, menus where you can put the obvious one with the cartridge that you put in, and you can switch them out and so on. Slots, I believe it's called. Which, by the way, is a functionality you can also, if you're interested in just using that, find in the VR Essential Kit. Here's a slot actor here. I haven't looked at what it does. That was a BI, by the way, this one. I honestly haven't looked at what it does. So I can't really say anything clever about this at this point here. But I guess you can go check that out yourself. I'm gonna have a peek at it at some point anyway. But I like to do things my own way first, and then compare and see if I could done things in a different way, and then re-implement it. It seems like a waste of time, but it's, for me, it's also a learning process, figuring out mentally how would I approach this, and then comparing how did other people approach this, and then I will usually get a bigger aha experience out of it. But that's, I guess it's a personal preference. Anyway, I hope this was not too messed up, and I hope you were able to follow along. Let me know if you have any questions. I will be happy to answer and see what I can do. So for now, thank you for watching, and see you in the next. Bye bye.